Hey guys, today we're talking about graphing quadratics in standard form, which means we just start with the ax squared plus bx plus c, and we can figure out where it is on the graph quite easily. I'm going to show you how to do that today, okay? So let's start off here first on number one, okay? So number one, we're going to go through all the steps. If you want to, definitely go back through here and read all of this stuff, okay? But we're going to start here on number one. So number one, we have y equals x squared minus 4 plus 3. And step number one is we're going to label all of my a, my b, and my c. So of course my a is here, it is 1. So that's my a, my b is -4, and my c is 3. So we have 1, -4, and 3. Next, let's talk about our parent function. Now the parent function for a quadratic equation looks like a u. It's called a parabola, all right? And it's because we're squaring it. So just like whenever we did absolute value, it created a v because we couldn't have any negatives. Whenever you square a number, it takes away the negative as well. And so it creates a u. And so this is for y equals x squared. And your graph is going to look like this. You're going to have a vertex down here, so on and so forth, okay? But it's always going to look like a u. And we'll get more in particular with what that is in a little bit, but that's our parent function. Next, my opening direction. For my opening direction, we always look at A. If A is positive, it's going up. If A is negative, it's going down. So this one is going to go up because A is positive. Okay? So since A is positive, my opening direction is up. Next, let's look at our axis of symmetry. Now to find our axis of symmetry, we have a very special formula, and this is going to work for every single problem. All right? Our axis of symmetry is equal to x equals -b over 2a. All right? That is how we find our axis of symmetry. It works for every single problem. So for this problem, my b is -4, so we're going to go -4 over 2 times my a, and my a is 1. Okay, so a -4. Remember, that makes a +4. And 2 times 1 is 2, so we're going to have 4 divided by 2. So that's just going to be 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So my axis of symmetry is x equals 2. Now remember, our axis of symmetry is the straight up and down line. It's like an imaginary line that my graph goes on either side of. So my axis of symmetry here is going to be at x equals 2. So we're going to go up all this way. We're going to go down all this way. All right, and that's kind of like my visible axis of symmetry. Next up, we need to find my vertex. Now our vertex is whatever my y is whenever x equals my axis of symmetry. So what we do is we take my axis of symmetry, which in this case is 2, we plug it back into my original equation and find what my y is to get the other half of my vertex. Okay? Because your vertex is whatever your x is. Well, we already know what my x is for it. And whatever my y is, we just have to plug it in to find. So we're going to take that 2, we're going to plug it in. So here's my original equation. Y equals x squared minus 4x plus 3. I'm going to take 2 and I'm going to plug it in for x here. So I'm going to go y equals 2 squared minus 4 times 2 plus 3. Well, 2 squared is 4. -4 times 2 is -8. And I have a plus 3 on the end here. So 4 minus 8 is -4. -4 plus 3 is going to give me a -1. So my y equals -1 here. So for my vertex, my x is going to be 2 because of that, and my y is going to be 1. All right? Next up, we're going to put that vertex on my axis of symmetry. So I'm going to go over 2, and I'm going to go up 1. Now, I know that I'm opening up, right? So I'm going to go ahead and draw this on here. We're going to go up this direction in this u, and we're going to go up this direction. So it creates this parabola. So there is my graph. Now, since I'm opening up, we have a minimum value. okay? Because we have a lowest value that we can have. And my lowest value is going to be whatever my y is, okay? So my lowest value here is 1. That's going to help us whenever we write our range for this. Lastly, my y-intercept. My y-intercept is whatever c is. So your y-intercept is going to be whatever c is. It's going to be 0, comma, whatever your c is. In this case, my c is 3. Hey, that kind of makes sense. I didn't draw this very great, but look, that's where my y-intercept should be, so I should have drawn my graph going out further to the left. We'll be more careful on that on the next one. But the graph itself doesn't matter all that much. We're just trying to make sure we understand how to get this information from the graph. So my y-intercept is going to be at 0, and my c is 3. So it should be at 0, 3. Next, our domain. The great thing about domain is for all of these, it's going to be all real numbers, negative infinity to positive infinity, okay? So my domain for this one's going to be all real numbers, negative infinity to positive infinity. My range is the one that I really have to think about, though, isn't it? For my range, we're going to need to go, okay, range is y, all of my y's, all of my up and my down. Remember, domain is left and right. It's going to keep going out forever to the left. It's going to keep going out forever to the right. But my range is the one that we need to think about. And in this case, my range, it's going to go all the way up, but it is not going to go all the way down. So my range is going to be y is greater than or equal to my maximum, my minimum, which is my 1 and my vertex. So it's going to be y is greater than 1 or brackets 1 to infinity. Okay? All right. So there's that. So now that we've covered that first one, let's go ahead and let's turn to the second page. Let's take a look here at number 2. So we're going to do this similar thing here. We're going to label first my A, my B, and my C. So we have my A, my B, and my C. My A is going to be -4, my B is 24, and my C is -32. My parent function. My parent function is always just going to be y equals x squared, okay? But now let's take a look at my opening direction. In this case, my opening direction, we look at my A, remember? And in this case, my A is negative. And if your A is negative, our opening direction is going to be downwards. Remember that for later. Now, we find our axis of symmetry. Now remember, to find my axis of symmetry, we go we go x equals -b over 2a. X equals -b divided by 2a. So we plug in my -b, and my b in this case is 24. So -24 over 2 times my a. And my a is -4. So let's work this out. 2 times -4 is -8. -24 divided by -8 is going to give me a +3. So in this case, my axis of symmetry is x equals 3. Let's go ahead and put that on over here. So we're going to put a point here at 3. And we're going to draw a little axis of symmetry. Okay, remember that's just the invisible line that my graph kind of wraps around on both sides of. Okay, now to find my vertex. Remember what we do to find our vertex. We take my axis of symmetry and I plug it back into my original equation. So I'm going to plug back in y equals -4 times 3 squared plus 24 times 3 minus 32. Looks like we might get some big numbers on this one. Okay, so then 3 times 2, not 3 times 2, 3 squared is 9. Remember what squared means. It means multiplying a number by itself. So I'm going to 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times -4 is going to give me -36. Okay, 24 times 3 is going to give me 72. Okay, 36 plus 72, -36 plus 72 is going to give me a +36. We're going to have 36 minus 32. 36 minus 32 is, of course, 4. So in this case, I get a y equals 4. So for my vertex, remember, this first one is just whatever my x value is, okay? The second one is whatever our y value is. So it's my 4. So there's my vertex at 3, 4. So I'm going to go over 3, up, 1, 2, 3, 4, put my point there. Now we're going to decide if we have a maximum or a minimum. Well, I'm opening down. So in this case, we're going to have a maximum, okay? So we're going to have a maximum. Then, my y-intercept. Remember, our y-intercept is just whatever 0 and then c is, okay? So 0 and whatever c is. In this case, my c is negative 32. So we're going to go 0 and negative 32. Your domain is always just going to be all real numbers, negative infinity to positive infinity, okay? And your range, let me scroll down a little bit so you can see that. My range, let's put my graph on here. If my y-intercept is negative 32, we're going to be going down, and we're going to be going down fast, right? It's not going to hit the y-axis until it's all the way down here. So we're going to be going down this way, okay? And we're going all the way down, domain, always all real numbers, because we're always going to be going out to the right, always out to the left. But going down, we have to think, okay? And so whenever I go down, we're going to go, okay, y is less than or equal to, remember, whatever my maximum is. And my maximum is that 4. So y is going to be less than or equal to 4, and it's going to be negative infinity to 4 with a bracket on it, okay? All right, let's take a look at one more here, number 3. So number 3 is a funky one. We have y equals 2x squared, and it's like, where did everything else go? We're missing a b and a c, right? The only thing that I have is an a. So my a is going to be 2, but my b is going to be 0, and my c is going to be 0. There's no bx, there's no cx, okay? Those are just out there by themselves. So my parent function is just going to be y equals x squared. My opening direction, well, is a positive or negative? Well, in this case, a is positive, so my opening direction is up. Then we need to find my axis of symmetry. So remember, that's x equals negative b over 2 times a. So we're going to go negative b. So b is 0, so it's going to be negative 0 over 2 times 2. Well, 0 divided by anything is 0, right? So 0 divided by 2 times 2 is still just 0. So there you go. There you have it. My axis of symmetry is just going to be x equals 0. Plug it in to find my other part of my vertex. Well, let's put my axis of symmetry on here first. So there's my axis of symmetry at x equals 0. Plug it in for my vertex. We get y, change the colors, y equals 2 times 0 squared. 0 squared is 0. 0 times 2 is 0, so it's just y equals 0. So my vertex, remember, we just take this, plug it into the first one, take that, plug it into the next one. So my vertex is at 0, 0, right at the origin. We're opening up, so we're going to have a minimum value. My y-intercept is just going to be, well, 0, 0. We can see that on the graph, but also my c is 0. My domain, all real numbers, negative infinity to infinity, as always, because, look at my graph. We're going to open up this direction and up this direction. My range is going to be, well, we have a minimum, so we're going to do everything above that minimum. So I'm going to go y is greater than or equal to, my minimum is 0. So y is greater than or equal to 0, or 0 to infinity. I hope you think this is as easy as I do. Just find the axis of symmetry. You just remember negative b over 2a, and kind of go from there. Use your notes to help you as you go, and it should make perfect sense. All right, guys, hope you have a great rest of your day.